Let's go into buying or selling our stock in these teams. Let's start off with buying. Start off on the positive note. Which schools are you going to buy stock in going into the 2025 season? Tell us why and who people should look out for. This is the college football investment segment. JP, you lead us off.
Yeah, I'll start out here. I went a couple of these are 1 year 1 year buys here. We're looking to sell it here not too distant future, and then some longer term commitments here. So I'm going to start out with one that I'm just looking for the 2025 season. I'm going to buy some USC Trojan stock. Now, here's what I'm thinking here. This price at which you buy USC stock's not going to go down that much, in my opinion, if they fire Lincoln Riley. Because the moment they hire somebody, because they're going to make a splash hire, they're USC, they got the money, they're going to do that. Their stock's going to shoot right back up, right? Thought process being, it's not going to go much lower than this. So if I can buy some now, if they have a year where they go 9 wins or they win 10 or they win 8 and it's a little hyped up, it's just going to steady climb. And then I can dump this, next year before the 26th season or see how it goes. And maybe it just keeps getting better and better and that stock rises. I just think if you look at what USC is last year, they really do feel like they made a lot of strides and got a better football team. And the record just didn't reflect that. That happens in college football sometimes. Sometimes it's a tougher schedule. Sometimes it's injury issues. Sometimes it's just the bounce of ball. They feel like they were a really good team last year, just didn't have a couple things go their way. Plug them into 25. I think that they're in a spot where they can land in the top 4 of the Big Ten. Like, I think they're in a good – I'm not going to say that they are a national championship contender, but I'm not going to argue and say that they could not and, backdoor their way into Indianapolis. So that's my play there is I think right now might be the lower end, if not the lowest it's going to get for the 25 season buying USC stock. Because, again, if they fire Lincoln Riley and make a splash hire, it's not going to drop much. It's going to shoot up as soon as that hire is made. And if they keep winning games, you know how USC hype goes. So USC Trojans here for a multitude of reasons.
All right. Buying stock in USC in the Big Ten. Jake, are you staying in the Big Ten or where are we going to buy some stock?
No, we cover all 136 teams around here, so I'm not going
to give us something greasy.
I think there's probably about only 2 or 3 G5 teams that would classify as you can't buy right now because their stock's already so high. So I feel like I'm pretty safe with this one. I'm buying James Madison stock.
Love it.
I love what Bob Chesney's done. They were 1 game away. That overtime loss to Marshall from making the Sun Belt title game in his first season. They won 9 games, scored 70 points on North Carolina. Whether you do get Alonzo Barnett III or just maybe Matthew Sluka next year, I think you're still going to have a quarterback that's going to be able to compete in the Sun Belt and win that. I hope he sticks around. I love the way his offenses play, high flying, high scoring. You get Io Adei back. I think he was North Texas transfer, rushed for a couple thousand yards 2 years ago after battling some injuries. So I think they're going to be really good again this year. It's just a matter of I want to see a Sun Belt team in that G5 slot so bad. I know the American right now is pretty much head and shoulders above any other conference, but I would just love to see James Madison in that spot. Have a great opportunity this year. After you play Weber State, your first game of the year, you have at Louisville and at Liberty for your 2 more non-con games where you could make a huge splash and maybe get out of the gauntlet that is Murderers Row in the Sun Belt Conference.
All right. So G5 and a Power 4 pick off the board. For me, JP, why don't you throw that hat back on? Because this is a school that people their stock has only drastically dropped after what happened in Happy Valley in the first round of the playoff last year. But SMU is a school I'm investing in this year. I don't think Vegas is showing you true thoughts of them. I mean, they have 8.5 at a win total for a school that won double digits in games last year. They returned Kevin Jennings. I really like what they returned up front. I like RJ Maryland. I like PJ Williams. I like Ja'Kai Clark. Like, they're bringing back some big-time 4-star talent that's heavy in the NIL world, and they've got the money to compete. And I'm a Rhett Lashley guy. I mean, that's an offensive mind, one of the better long-standing offensive minds that's been around college football, and I just think he'll get it right. And I feel like I just have this gut feeling that this team's going to end up in Charlotte again, and everybody has just kind of tuned SMU out during the offseason. After what happened in Happy Valley, you make the ACC title game, you drop it, you still get in, deservingly so. Kevin Jennings throws about 400 interceptions. Everybody's like, why is this team in, man? Like, nobody, it's not a big enough brand. They're very talented. They're well coached. I'm reinvesting in SMU in 2025. JP, what do you think about that? We both got the no rivals caps on. What do you think about
I'm there. I'm on one of those where I think SMU's in a good spot in the ACC to legit cement themselves as a top 4 program within the thing. They got the money, they'll spend it. Sounds like right now they have the coaches in place, and a lot of the skill position guys that they keep bringing in through the high school recruiting, if they can just keep them on campus for a couple of years, it's going to be good. I think their big thing is always the trenches. Like, can you get good enough on the defensive line? Can you get good enough on the
defensive line? Is a worry, but
yeah,
right,
no,
JP, back to you.
I'm going to go to the G5. I had James Madison written down. I said,
nice.
You know what? Scribble.
Ball knower.
Good pick, Jake. Thanks.
Let's buy some App State stock. You talk about a school right now with low stock prices. This is about as low as App State stock price has been since pre-COVID, probably.
Since probably being in the FBS. I don't know, honestly.
This is a long-term investment. That's how I'm seeing this. App kind of sits in a situation where, not great last year. Let's be honest about what App State was. That's a team that consistently you think is going to be atop of the Sun Belt. They find themselves, I believe they went 5-6. Yeah, 5-6, 3-5 in the league. Had one game canceled throughout that thing. If you remember the flooding that happened out in North Carolina. This is a program going into Dow Loggins' first season as head coach. There kind of is a lot of turnover. There's no Aguilar quarterback anymore. They really had to invest in the portal. They brought in a ton that way. But it's a program and a fan base that's not going to take a consistent second place very well. They believe that they are the class of the Sun Belt. They believe they should be in that Sun Belt title game every year. And I'm just putting my chips in where I think the hire was made correctly. They're spending the money. They're making investments in the program, and the fan base is not going to tolerate mediocrity. And so I'm thinking this is as low as App's going to get in the next 5-10 years within the Sun Belt. So let's get them now while their price is lower. I could see them going and getting to, they should make a bowl game this year. Maybe they compete for a Sun Belt title, but maybe it's one more year down the road. That's why I'm thinking long-term investment. But I'm buying a lot of it right now.
I'll invest in that brand. I like that. That's a good pitch right there. Jake, what do you think? Who's your next team? You go leaving the G5?
No, I feel like I need to stay there. I don't want to sound like we're copying anybody if you pay attention to like the big college football shows around here, because I did have this thought before I made this pick. But for me, it's New Mexico. We just talked about Idaho before and why they were so relevant. Kind of one man is Jason Eck, the coach who left from Idaho, was South Dakota State's offensive coordinator, now takes his first FBS head coaching job. And I guess just looking for a first bowl appearance, I think since 2016, like New Mexico is starving. And I think they've got a good support. The big basketball school, they love the pit. But I think you saw last year in Bronco Mendenhall getting them to 5 wins. There's some energy there. There's some momentum to build off of. Now, unfortunately, after Mendenhall heads to Utah State, Eck kind of has to turn the roster around again. So that's a little frustrating if you're a Lobo fan, but I think you're in good hands. It almost feels like this is an FCS all-star team. He brings over his quarterback from Idaho and Jack Lane. His kid.
A one-year starter at Idaho.
Yeah, one-year starter at Idaho. His kid plays middle linebacker. He'll be solid for them. He brings his edge rusher from Idaho, Scott Trey Humphrey, really good running back from Montana State, who ironically rushed for 140 yards on New Mexico last year, now is a Lobo. So I think they've got some good pieces. I don't know. They start at Michigan, which is tough, Idaho State, then at UCLA. But I would love to see them to head out to LA in game 3 after they've meshed and gelled and give UCLA a fight, because I really do think that they could make something happen. And New Mexico State's on the calendar this year. So that's a rivalry game they get after UCLA. So I think, will they get to 6 wins? It'll be tough. I don't know. A lot of people have them projected kind of in the middle of the Mountain West, but I think they have a legit shot to finally go bowling, which is still a big deal for some people.
Massive deal. No, it's a massive deal. Bowl games matter. I feel bad because we've had this G5 representation from the other two, and I'm going to give you the pick that I'm hoping you guys have to scribble off. Nebraska. I got Nebraska. I'm investing in Nebraska this season, and I've invested
I have them in my cells, actually.
This
Might be
in, this in, Park's drinking the Kool-Aid again.
Yeah, I'm absolutely. It's that time of year. We're rolling around. The weather's getting warmer. The sun's shining on my face. I'm getting my vitamin D, and all of a sudden that Kool-Aid just starts flowing itself. I like the thought of Nebraska being good again. Believe it or not, all these helmets behind me, it would be nice to see some return on my investment. Year two with Dylan Raiola is obviously big news, but just follow the track record of Matt Rule and where he's been. Jake, you've talked about it before. It's year 3 or 4. We're in year 3. You got to start seeing the product on the field. And the word around town outside of the Nebraska Kool-Aid and national media outlets who always have Nebraska high in the preseason is the expectation in the room is just different. I like the pieces they brought back, obviously bringing in Kentucky's wide receiver coach, Dykell Shorts. They bring in Dane Key, their best receiver from last year. Ja'Cory Barney, all Big Ten freshman returns. So I like the weapons on the outside. Retaining Emmett Johnson's a big piece in the backfield. And then I do want to mention, and I don't think people know this, but it seemed like a mass exodus last year with Tony White and his crew and all those players. But you retained the defensive back coach you brought in from the Buffalo Bills and John Butler. You look for the secondary to take a step forward, a guy who's already learned under Tony White's system that we're supposed to see almost the exact same thing and shades of new parts to it this season. So I still like the fit. I still like what I think I'm going to see with the defense from what they say. And I like the talent. Plus, we're in year 3 with Matt Rule. So I would invest in Nebraska. GA, tell me I'm wrong. Come on, man. Give me a different point of view from a fan, but feels like a good year to invest in Nebraska once again. JP, your thoughts, your next team that you are investing in. If you have any more, I don't know how many everybody has.
Yeah, I'll say I've got one more.
I got one more. I'll stay in the G5. I'll go to a different conference though. This one feels like it might be a little pricier of a buy.
What the hell is the NBA?
The kid, he's cracking a joke. We don't watch the NBA.
Thanks for watching the Play the Fights on College Football Show.
We cover all 136 teams here, so please subscribe.
Back to your scheduled programming. Play it.
45 minutes.
The Tulane Green Wave. A high price, but I feel like the payoff's there. It's a program that is already in line to be the class of the G5, if not already in the conversation for it. Now you're going to have to deal with a situation probably in the next 2 or 3 years where Summerall gets lured away and this coaching staff does. But we sell before that point in time, right? That's why we're stock marketing this.
We're
thing.
Short selling.
What are we buying? Can I ask, what are we buying? Are we buying the G5 playoff berth spot, or what are we buying here?
Yes,
okay.
This is why we're buying it, is because I do think that they are a very good spot to be the G5 representative, which is pretty much the peak of where a G5 team could get, unless they were to win a game in the playoff. Then they kind of go up a little bit more. Obviously, that's sell time. But I think it's the best team in the best G5 conference within college football. I also think that coaching-wise, it could only get better and better. They continue to bring in legit talent through the portal. It's a different look roster. Like, it's not going to be the same young, talented stars that have been there the last couple of years. But it is a team that I think is in there with Memphis on just way more talented than a lot of teams in their conference. So buy the Tulane stock. It might be a little pricier than the app or the USC stock we bought earlier. Buy the stock here. They get into that G5 playoff spot or even have a shot to get it. It's just, that's where we're looking for. We're not looking for a massive return on investment. We just think it's a smart one because I don't see this stock falling.
All right, we are short selling Tulane. I like that as GA comes in. All the pieces are there for Nebraska. The question is whether or not they'll finally have a winning culture. I got to be nice to get it back, GA. We're getting exhausted. I'm mentally exhausting myself by hyping myself up about the Kool-Aid. Jay, give us your next and final for the show tonight. Buying of teams. We're buying stock right now.
Yep. I think I could buy stock on this team, and I think it's because I think a lot of people are selling it right now. I'm going to go Missouri. I think Drink has this team in the right spot to win 3 straight 10-win seasons. I like where this team is at. I think a lot of people would consider them a disappointment from last season, just like easy schedule. You get Brady Cook back, you get Luther Burden back, and you miss the playoff. That's a disappointment. Still won 10 games. I think as a Missouri fan in this new era of the SEC, I think that's a lot to be positive about because we're not that far removed from the Barry Odom era and how ugly that kind of situation was. love the defense this year. Blake Baker heads to LSU last year, and the worry was the defense. Defense was still top 25 nationally. I think they have like 5 or 6 starters coming back. You pick up Josiah Trotter from West Virginia, who I love. You get Damon Wilson, who was probably the best player in the portal, the defensive end from Georgia. Pair him with Zion Young. I love where the defense is sitting at. Now, offensively, kind of TBD. You're relying on Bo Prabula, transfer, never been a starter. Ahmad Hardy, 1,300-yard rusher at Louisiana Monroe, never played in the SEC. And Kevin Coleman, receiver out of Mississippi State. Can he replace the likes of a Luther Burden? We'll have to wait and see. But I love what they got, at least in June on paper, that I think this team could get that 3rd or 4th spot in the playoff this year for the SEC.
All right, there is your buying stock for teams. Whoa. Before you go, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button for all of your college football content.
If you want more content like this, follow us at Play the Fight Pod on all other social platforms.
Check out our partners over at No Rivals. Use the code PTFS for free shipping.
Play it.